Good day, folks. This is video number 26 for the 3DEXPERIENCE CATIA generative shape design application. It's going to go into the playlist which says Surface tab, and there's another playlist which is Wireframe tab, but this is not where it's going to go. Okay. The icon that we're going to be discussing is the sweep icon, which is one of the more advanced icons, or functionalities. But the specific thing that I'm going to concentrate on this video is when you do explicit sweep with two guide curves, you have the opportunity to specify the anchor points or anchor point and anchor direction. So that's the item that I'm going to be discussing. When you are in the generative shape design, 3DEXPERIENCE CATIA, the ribbon at the bottom of the page looks like that, and the Surface tab, where this video is going to go into, the playlist of which this video is going to go to, is when selected, you have access to the sweep icon. Now, when you select the sweep icon, this dialog box opens up. And this is the explicit sweep where you can draw your sketch and actually do a sweeping of it. And notice that the different options that you can have here with this explicit sweep, one of them is with two guide curves. Actually, there's three such options. One is with reference surface, the other one with two guide curves that we're doing right now. And the third one is, I believe, is the pulling direction. Now, notice that when this is selected, then you have the opportunity to specify what is called anchor point. Anchor type, there's two of them. There is 2 points, and there is a point and direction. But anyway, right now I'm going to be discussing 2 points. Now, there is help there, but maybe it's me. It's not very clear on what's going on. And once again, I want to remind you that with the subtype, the three options, and we're discussing the one with the two guide curves, okay? Now, help is not very clear. Online help is not very clear. So what I decided to do is to do a Google search on what exactly is this anchor point. So the first description that you get is that an anchor point is a specific user-defined or system-calculated reference point. So either you specify it or the system does it for you. Used to position and orient the sketch, the one that you want to sweep, sketch or profile, relative to the guide curve, surfaces, or other geometric entities. Okay, so basically it allows you to orient your sketch so that the sweeping is done in some manner. It acts as a control mechanism to determine how a section behaves during the creation of swept surfaces, or when duplicating elements. Now, the next question that comes up is, okay, these anchor points, where are they? Well, it says that specifically, anchor points are located on the profile itself, not just anywhere in space. These points act like connection between your 2D profile and the guide curves, defining which part of the sketch travels along the guide curve. Now, the problem with this particular icon is that it's not properly documented, or it's not clearly documented. And the implementation and theory manual is not available. So basically you can do whatever you want. You get all these wacky things on the screen that's either impossible to interpret or it's not easy to interpret. Let me put it that way. Only in things that make sense, one can make sense out of what is appearing on the screen. Okay, but it says, look, it says not just anywhere in space, but you can actually select things anywhere in space, and then you get the surface that you wonder why it was created or how it was created. Now, this breakdown is very useful, okay? However, I caution you that it says loaded words that is not clear what it is. And even if you go to help, there's stuff like this that's used, but who knows? Now, it's interesting. I came across this question back in 2015 from somebody saying that, look, what are these things? The documentation doesn't help. It says blah, blah, blah. And this fellow did a good job back in 2015 to give a reasonable answer, a good answer to that fellow's question. I highly recommend that you go and watch his CATIA V5 answer. But anyway, let's move on. My first example is going to be a fairly straightforward one. I'm going to draw on that vertical plane a sketch. And the sketch is going to be fairly simple. So perhaps something like this. Line, broken line, and maybe another horizontal. So this is going to be the sketch. Dimensions and things like that are not important right now. So let me exit. So this is going to be my profile. And then I'm going to create my guide curve. So the first one is going to be on that horizontal plane, and it's going to be just a straight line. So I'm going to make it just a straight line, going perhaps from somewhere out here, and straight line like that. Okay, now, okay, so exit. There is going to be my profile, and here is going to be a one of the guys. Okay, now look at it like this. Okay. Now on, I want to draw another profile, but not profile, a guide curve. But that guide curve, I'm going to make it a spline. Okay, so where am I going to do that? I'm going to draw it, for example, I can draw it in the same sketch, but not in the same sketch, in the same plane, but I'll do it a different way. So, for example, I'm going to create a plane here. Let me go to wireframe, a plane, and I'm going to make it normal to that plane. So normal to that curve. Or I can do a, for example, parallel through a point. I can do it like this. So reference is going to be this, and the point is going to be that. All right. So what I did is, on purpose, I drew a plane here, and I'm going to draw my guide on this second guide on this plane. So on that plane, I will sketch. Let me draw a spline, something like this. I'm going to make it go through that point later on, but that's not really the issue here. Okay, good. Exit. So notice that it just happens that this spline that I drew in that vertical plane, it just happens that it also goes through that. This guy does not touch the profile. Now, I don't need any of these planes, so let me go ahead and hide them. So this control these planes, hide them. Okay, and these axes I don't need, so I'm going to hide them too. Hide, hide, and hide. So what I have, oops, where's my sketch? Sorry, not the whole sketch, just the axis. Okay, so what I have here is a profile like that, a guide curve here, and another guide curve there. It just happens that this profile happens to touch that guide curve. Okay, good. Now we're going to go to surface tab, sweep. Okay. We want two guide curves. Notice that when we profile is is sketch 1 right there. Guide curve 1, guide curve 2. Now notice that I can actually say preview without worrying about these anchoring points because something was computed. In fact, now say profile, let's say preview. Okay. So what happened is that a surface was created. The guide curves, look at the surface was created, but the guide curves do not lie on these surfaces, on the surface, neither one of them. Okay. So let me do the following. Let me do now do the following. So instead of computed, I'm going to say, okay, let me go select it. So I'm going to select this point, remember this point at the end of that broken line? And that one, and say preview. Watch the surface, what happens. It changes. And now what happens is that broken line, my profile, somehow one end of it is on this, follows that, and the other end of it is this, follows this. So the moral of the story is that it does something based on those anchor points that I pick. It made sure that the ends of that profile lies on that on those guide curves. Now, let me do something else. See, the point is that you can create these things, but what it's doing is either has to be in the documentation or you should be able to find it somewhere. And unfortunately, I don't have either one of them. Let's go back to sweep here. Notice that when I selected my guide curve 1, sketch 2, it automatically used it as the spine. Now, suppose I didn't want that. Suppose I want to create my spine based on these two guide curves. You can do that. So you go here, you go to the spine, right click, insert wireframe, go down here, create a spine right there. Click on it. This dialog box opens up. It says, do you want to do that based on planes or guide? I want to do it based on guide. It's very common that people don't pay attention to this thing and start picking guides. It's going to get screwed up. So I want to do it based on guides. The order doesn't matter. I select this and select that. Notice the guide has been created. The spine has been created here. And then we say, okay. And watch happens to that surface that I created. And I say preview. And it looks like that. So once again, the very fact that I selected my own anchor points, made the surface go through those two lines, one of them the line, the other one is the spline, okay? And now it follows that spine. So if you go back here, back to the sweep, let's hypothetically say now I say, hey, I don't want my anchor points to be, I don't want to pick my anchor point, right click, clear selection. Now the spine is the one that we created, no problem. And then we say preview, it gives a different surface. Okay, it gives a different surface. And notice that end of that profile does not lie on that guide curve. The guide curve plays a role in selecting that. In making that the surface. Even here, I eliminated the selection of those two anchor points on those guide curve. Even here, you can see that the edge of that surface does not coincide with this guide curve. If you go back there, if you go back to anchor point 1, for example, this point that I selected, anchor point 2 is that point, and then say preview or okay, preview. Notice that now the profile that's swept follows that edge and follows this edge. And of course, there's a spine here. If you don't want the spine, you want to use sketch 2 to just clear selection, you get a different surface. Yeah. It's so unfortunate that you get all these things on the screen, and many of them it's not obvious why or how. Okay, let me do another example. Let me close that. I'm going to hide this. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make let me show you with these planes. Let me show you, for example, uh, I hit these things. For example, I'm going to go to, let me bring these into the show mode. Okay. Suppose I want to draw a sketch. I don't want to use this sketch. Okay, this was sketch 1, right? So I'm going to hide the sketch 1. I'm going to make another sketch. So on that vertical plane, I will sketch. Draw, maybe half a circle, an arc. Dimensions don't matter here. Exit. So it's weird, but what I want to do, and let me also hide that spine. Hide that. Okay. These planes, if you don't want to see them, you can hide them too. Oops. Hide. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go to sweep. I'm going to say with 2 guide curves, the profile is that guide. Guide curve 1, I select this. Guide curve 2, I select this. I did not use the anchor points, it's internally computed. By default, sketch 2, which is this line, was used as the spine. And if I say preview, it'll give me something. Okay, it gave you something. Now, let me go ahead and pick the anchor points. Anchor point 1, instead of letting it automatically do it for me, I'm going to select this endpoint of that profile. For 2 is going to be this endpoint. And let's see what happens. Preview. There is no right or wrong. It's just that, notice that the selection of these anchor points made the surface edges follow those guide curves. There is no right or wrong. Now let's say that this is using sketch 2 as the spine. Let's say that I wanted to use the spine that I calculated up here, the actual spine. I don't have to do it again because you're going to get the same thing. Remember this thing? Preview. Hallelujah. Now, sometimes the directions may not be direction of these surfaces may not be what you want. So what you go here, you set position profile, and you fool around with these to flip the direction. So for example, if I do this, let's see what happens. There. So now we go. Yep. No documentation. Meaningful documentation. There is all that blah, 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 blah. But how does that help you? It's frustrating. All right, folks, we'll do more later.